this is where we begin to, we've really been building things all morning long. We're becoming sensitive to things and aware of things. What we're doing is we're giving ourselves these super secret, superhuman glasses that now see things where we didn't previously see things. And it's an exciting thing, it's illuminating, there's these light bulb moments. And now we're going to move into, we're going to begin to see how this actually begins to affect organizations even more than we have before, and how these boxes can begin to multiply, and what a corrosive, and detrimental, and destructive effect it can have on organizations, individuals, and relationships. And then we're going to take a look at a little bit of this outward mindset and how it can be applied in a work setting. And then we'll kind of follow that through. We'll look at ways that we can, once we realize we're in the box, or we're in a situation where we've been distorting reality, we've been deceived, how we can change that. Because it either takes a tremendous amount of willpower that few of us would have, including myself, or it requires a new way of looking at things, and some action can actually help us get out of that. Okay? And again, all we're talking about at the end of the day is not building on new things. What we're really talking about is clearing stuff away. It's decluttering. It's getting out all this junk that's between us as individuals, within organizations, and relationships, beginning to see things as they actually really are for a change. Because at the end of the day, as long as we see things in this self-deceived world, distorted view, how effective can we truly be? How collaborative can we truly be when we don't share the same vision of reality, and we don't even view ourselves with the same vision of reality? Okay. All right. So we're going to dive in again. We're on page 43, and that says how the inward mindset multiplies. A little bit of fade in there. Okay. So we're going to start this off by asking. I asked this before we left for lunch, and this kind of goes back to the point that Michelle was making. What do you suppose an inward mindset invites in other people? Think about it. Yeah, same thing, right? No, why would that? If I come across, I have an inward mindset, and again, you're reacting primarily to my mindset rather than the behaviors and the words, right? We've established that. We've shown it multiple times. Wouldn't it be very easy for you to just go right into that box as well? Because you can sense that inward mindset, right? However, it's being exhibited. Okay, absolutely. Good. One of my favorite videos. We want to see what happens when an inward mindset begins to multiply. Has anybody ever seen this clip? All right, there's a TV show called Malcolm in the Middle. Has anybody heard of it?
Yes.
All right. I never watched it, but had I seen this video clip before, I probably would have watched it more frequently. There's great, deep philosophical truths that are emerging in the sitcom. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and see how an inward mindset begins to multiply, and then we're going to unpack this and talk about it. All right? Okay.
Excuse me. I know you didn't get anyone to catch you. You just slammed your door into my car. At least you didn't even say you're sorry, lady. Take that down. It's not like I'm hurting your resale value. I'm sorry. See? Like that.
crazy.
She looked a little like him. She did. Looks like him.
Like my driving.
Interesting. What did you see? What happened? You've got some tools now. Now we're going to go into a place where we're going to unpack a little bit more. But was there an invitation at a certain point to enter into a box there? Take me through that a little bit. Kind of describe it, narrate it based on what we now know. What happened?
Well, just her first sentence, how she approached the person who moved into her car, just set it off.
Right up in the tone, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And the language that she used, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
they had to be better than each other each time.
the one up,
Just have us.
Yeah.
this repeating cycle. Do you think if you would have approached either of them before this incident, just as they were walking out the park, and said, by the way, in about 10 minutes, you'll have chosen to do this to your car? What would their response have been? No. No, nobody in their right mind would do that, of course, right? But again, that's the problem. They're not in their right mind, are they? They've entered into this self-deceived world where they value justification more than they value a nice, clean, dent-free car. And so over time, they lose sight of the fact they don't really care what happens to their car. All they care about is what? Revenge. Damaging that other car and justifying, right? If you were to ask both of them, whose fault is this? What would they say?
They point to each other.
Yeah. Gosh, so that's tough. Now you go back to how this thing started, and you start to get a sense of how difficult this is. Because you go back to the first thing, and that first door that hits your car, right? All right, as a person, if I see that as a person, made an honest mistake, or even they did it intentionally, but maybe I don't really know what's going on. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at that. As a person, perhaps I would have found a way to not ratchet that up, and then going back on the other side. But instead, invitation after invitation. Will you join me in the box? Sure, I'll join you in the box. So you just keep going around. Okay. Let's take a look. We're gonna unpack this a little bit more. All right. So let's go back. Jeff, we're gonna use you again because we used you in the previous one here. So poor Jeff's getting good.
Yeah.
Jeff, let's suppose that I'm in the box toward you, okay? So there's something, whatever it might be, for whatever reason, I'm in the box toward you, okay? Now, that means that I'm seeing you in a certain way, right? Therefore, I see everything that you do in a certain way. Again, I'm in the self-deceived world, okay? Now, because I see you as an object, then again, as we go through that cycle, I do now, based on what I see. So in this instance, I blame you, I categorize you, I horribilize you, whatever it might be, right? I'm blaming you. Now, you, like any other normal person, what's this person likely lugging around of their own? Their own boxes, right? So possible that he's lugging around his own baggage. And so what's likely to happen if my blame is threatening a box that they're carrying? So my tone and demeanor becomes very confrontational, aggressive, or whatever else. Either way, I've already distorted reality. Then that begins to conflict with the box that you're carrying and the way that you're perceiving and projecting yourself, right? So in this instance, he goes into the box himself. Does he see a person? No, I'm inviting him to see me as an object because it's the way I'm seeing him. It's so transparent and obvious. So he begins to see me as an object. And then he goes in and he acts in a certain way. He sees my characteristics and behavior toward him with an inward mindset, with a blame. And so he acts according to what he sees. And around and around and around it goes, right? Okay? Now, this is what we call collusion. Okay? So it's a conflict where the parties are inviting the very things that they're complaining about, driven by the need to be justified. What was, if you remember, the first lady, the one that first got her door hit, if you were to ask her, right at the beginning, after that door hit her car, what is it that she wants? What was it that she wanted?
Apology.
She wanted an apology, and even more than that, she wanted what? She didn't want her door to get hit. She didn't want anybody to damage her car, right? And yet, what's interesting there is all of her behavior from that point on, rather than de-escalating and stopping the damage, actually increased the very behavior that she claimed to dislike. and they enter into this collusion, right? Very strange thing. The next and the scariest part of this is if I'm in an organizational setting and I'm looking for justification and I'm looking to validate the way that I am seeing a particular situation, what might I begin to enlist in this cause?
Allies.
How might I do that? How might I actively recruit allies in an organizational environment? I've gone into the box. Jeff and I are in the box toward each other, right? We have this meeting, we're chatting. What might I say when I leave that office or leave that meeting to somebody else if I'm looking for an ally in my blame justification?
The negative referring to Jeff, about Jeff.
What might Jeff say as he leaves about me?
Same thing.
Same thing, right? Yeah. And sometimes the really good recruiters aren't even that transparent about it. It might even be questions. Did you hear what just happened there? Was that real? Did you see him? Did you hear what came out of his mouth? I can't believe it. Sometimes we can actually recruit for allies even with body language during the very meeting. How might I recruit allies in a meeting environment like this to my side of things? Just purely by body language. What might I do?
Facial expressions, raising the eyebrows.
Yeah, rolling the eyes. It's like,
Folding the arms.
right. It's like, whatever else. You can think of
Look
all
at your
sorts of
phone.
ways. Yeah. Send a signal that this is not something to be listened to. They begin to recruit, right? And so what happens is, organizationally, sometimes we do this and we don't even recognize that we're doing it. But again, our need to be justified is so intense and so deep and so real that every opportunity to validate our justification, we will jump on. And sometimes we'll do it without even thinking about it. And we'll begin this master recruitment process.